Hey there, welcome to episode 120 of the Cafe Genius Impresarios audio program. I am your host, Dan Hugo. We are recording this at 10:45 in the morning on Friday, June 13th, 2025. On top of everything else going on in the world, today is Friday the 13th. Ooh, let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Today's title, More Than Fun. If you are new to the Cafe Genius Impresarios audio program, it is a podcast. It's an audio program that focuses on the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem and the people in it, mostly in the greater Vegas area, greater Las Vegas, Nevada. Greater could mean regionally, geographically large, beyond the borders of, say, the city of Las Vegas proper, or it could mean something more aspirational. That continues to be a question. Cafe Genius, cafe spelled with two F's, an homage of sorts to the Cafe Centro, the place where startups start, a little unassuming coffee shop in the South Park, an actual park in the city of San Francisco, very near the then AT&T, now Oracle ballpark. Sadly, Cafe Centro is no longer with us, but it is the place where startups started, including Twitter, for example, arguably started at the Cafe Centro. Spelled with two F's, as it should be. Genius, Cafe Genius, an homage to the Genius lunches, which we used to hold here in the greater Vegas area during the downtown project days. Real entrepreneurs doing real stuff, getting together from time to time, a very ad hoc group, sort of a referral invite sort of thing. Hey, if you have time, we're getting together on Thursday. Not particularly scheduled, not particularly rigorous, just connecting people who are probably too busy to get out and talk to people. What's up? What's down? What's the gossip? The Genius lunch, Cafe Genius, and then Impresarios with two S's. Those are people that are making things happen, doing cool stuff. Ideally, we would have some of those people on, but finding guests to show up for interviews in Vegas is always a challenge. How many listeners do you have? What's in it for me? These are par for the course here in Vegas, so we'll see if we can change that. We'll delve into the second startup scene more and more through the summer. See what we can do. In the meantime, hopefully wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, a summary that I will read to you, and the links for today's episode. I will warn you, there are 10? Is that 10? Yep, 10. I count 10. 10 links for today's episode. 4 of them are the shameless self-promotion links, so you can skip over those right away. But let's get started so we can get finished on this Friday, the 13th. Well, no, who knows what's going to happen. Summary: the fun economy is important, trademark-worthy as well. By the way, that was granted in February, as I've mentioned previously. But there is more to this going on here in the greater Vegas area. More than just the fun economy. The challenge is discovery, and it is not made easier when resources available to locals and visitors point overwhelmingly toward fun and not toward the rest of the story. What that means is, imagine if it was the early 90s or the 70s or any number of decades intermixed. Suppose if you heard of Silicon Valley, it was hey, we have great America, and we have restaurants, and we have a bridge, right? They'd be talking about the tourist attractions. They'd be talking about the fun that you can have visiting the Bay Area. What they actually talked about, in addition to those things, was the tremendous amount of innovation going on. These are the sorts of things that made front page news back in the print newspaper days. Do we still have print newspapers? I'm not sure. So you can celebrate your fun economy, whether it's trademarked or not. But the important thing is to realize that if you're attempting to also establish a strength, an economic diversity that is not focused completely on fun, for example, you have to clear the way for discovery and awareness and promotion. You have to have a news media and a culture in general that is excited by and talks about these things. I question whether we have that here or whether we will in the near term. But hey, let's get to the links. The first two, and by the way, no obligation to spend any money at these, of course. I say this often. I don't know if people believe me. buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo, and the Buy Me an Update Monday morning 5-minute rundown on previous week's audio program episodes and news and announcements into the future. buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo/posts. The profile page at /Dan Hugo there is links to my various other audio programs, different projects. There are some affiliate links for my favorite coffee beans, the Nasal Fresh, which I did not use this morning and I clearly should have. There's some biographical information up at the top, and then you can check out the Monday morning Buy Me an Update. Next up, and again, no obligation to spend any money, Ko-fi.com, Ko-fi.com. The hyphen is next to the 0 on most keyboards. Dan Hugo, Ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo, that's me. You can also check out Coffee Solo, an audio program published exclusively without a schedule or a particular topic focus. Available on Ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo/posts. So 4 self-promotion links, no waiting. Take your pick. You don't have to spend any money. If you do, any proceeds that come in through either of these go towards the purchase of coffee or coffee accessories. It's what makes all this work. I've linked to the new LVCVA, that's the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority effort. I read about it in like a news article, a local news article or a press release perhaps. They are now providing a news of sorts resource for locals. So if you go to the visitlasvegas.com website in general, you'll find information for tourists, people visiting the Vegas area, hence the name visitlasvegas.com. It's a site owned and managed by LVCVA. If you now go to, and I didn't see a link to this, I don't know how they're integrating this feature in with the general visitor portal, but visitlasvegas.com/locals, those are the people that live here. So local with an S, LOCALS. So if you visit that URL, which I have linked, it's a link in our links section for this episode, you will find pretty much the same stuff, but with the addition of possible discounts for locals and maybe some other stuff that's geared more towards people who live here. To me, it looks like the next link, down to play, no spaces, down to play.vegas, a site designed for, they didn't do it themselves, designed for and I guess managed by the Downtown Vegas Alliance for the downtown Las Vegas area. Down to play.vegas, when you click on it, it will immediately redirect to playcation.vegas. They mean to say play vacation, but maybe you're feeling placated. I don't know. This is a site that's been around for a couple of years, and I find it not very useful, but definitely not innovative. It has the same accessibility problems in the navigation for the website at the top of the website, if you do check it out. But more interestingly, it is just a bunch of pictures and links, not enough links. It's very difficult to navigate or find anything. You really have to have a lot of spare time to just scroll through and read. I know reading is a rarity, but it's still useful. You should try it. The thing that always made me laugh, and I saw these in person, the content for the Down to Play.Vegas website is really intended, and I think you can still find PDFs, or it's intended to be printed out. So I think maybe that's probably sufficient maligning for that website. Fun, LasVegasWeekly.com, LasVegasWeekly, no spaces.com. It's essentially the free paper. And in fact, they actually have a print edition. Their website is geared towards fun. What's going on this week, concerts, residences, new restaurants, bars, concerts, events that are not concerts, comedy shows, etc., etc. So it's really, to me, it seems sufficient. It's generally aimed at anyone, not Las Vegas locals in particular. There are a couple of newsletters that I have not gotten into that I'm sort of subscribed to check out. Vantage LV, The List. I think there's one more. These deserve like a special, there'll probably be a whole episode about this. Reaching people via mailing list, with websites and so on that are focused particularly on events coming up. So they're more timely. Las Vegas Weekly is a little bit more of a heavyweight. It's more broad. Hang on. All right, I had to take a little break there. My air conditioner had come on. I normally turn it off. It just adds extra noise. So I'm enjoying some extra warmth for you, my listener. So I know you don't appreciate that. Anyway, with the links, more fun. There was fun in Las Vegas Weekly. There's more fun in Vegas.com, which is just a commercial entity. I didn't check. Some of these have been consolidated over different, like a limited number of owners. So Vegas.com might be a part of Las Vegas Weekly for all I know, for maybe part of Greenspun. Who knows? I didn't even check. I very rarely visit the Vegas.com website, if ever. But this is another site that features the latest ticket deals and promotional whatever and events going on. The fun economy. I don't want to spend too much time on those sorts of websites. We also have the City of Las Vegas government website, LasVegasNevada.com. I'm sorry, .com. .gov. I was looking at the next one. The City of Henderson is, for some reason, the cityofhenderson.com rather than .gov. Let me make sure that's not a thing. Gov? Nope. There's no City of Henderson.gov. That's weird. Well, anyway, the City of Henderson has a .com website, so that's where you find all your city resources. I'm going to compare those later. They're very clearly aiming at different audiences. Not completely aiming, like they're not exclusive. They're not exclusionary even, I should say. But I think it's just a difference in mindset. But I just wanted to include those just because it goes with the theme of today's episode and the title. Let's get on with the show. As I have mentioned before, we have the trademark granted to UNLV Office of Economic Development for the fun economy. So, despite assertions otherwise, it is the fun economy that gets the real attention. Global Innovation Hub. I don't think you can trademark that anyway, but Global Innovation Hub, Hollywood 2.0, various other slogans are kind of afterthoughts, but fun economy, trademark granted February 2025. The Greater Vegas area was built on fun in one form or another. There is nothing wrong with leaning into that. So I'm not making fun of that so much, but I am highlighting that that is the thing. Despite all of the economic diversity talk, that is the thing. Fun economy. It's not going anywhere. Not on its own anyway. The LVGEA, the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, has patted itself on the back over efforts such as the Formula One race events, where they bring people from companies they would like to entice into a Las Vegas presence to show off the fun of Formula One. I honestly don't know if pitching distraction works, but I would think they should be showing off the school system, housing opportunities, and transportation possibilities for when these companies do relocate or establish a presence here, so that their employees, maybe even their executives or the management that shows up there, but the people doing the work, might actually function themselves here in our oasis in the desert and with their families. So while they're at work, not thinking about gambling and going out and partying, which is the thing that they hype, fun economy for later. But their families might be partaking in education and housing and getting around town and so on. Not to say that only one person will be working, but the fact is these are important when making a decision about relocating one's family. At least it should be. Billboards, print media, local news coverage, pretty much everything in the Greater Vegas area, yeah, we still have billboards along the freeway, is aimed at this fun economy or attorneys. Too much fun? Call an attorney. Even as there are attempts to offer up notions that Southern Nevada is going to one day be a global innovation hub rivaling the San Francisco Bay Area. I've actually seen that printed in conspicuous places multiple times. This sounds great, but where is anything near equivalent coverage, hype, even mention of the elements that would make up the global innovation hub, this notion that they speak of so highly? The search for these resources and mention of them is left to the reader, apparently. We're a global innovation hub. Trust us. Now go have some fun. Don't bother me, kid. The food truck analogy. Now, you know, I always talk about food trucks. It's been a while, so maybe you thought this was coming. I have not mentioned food trucks in at least a week. There was a time when every other person, let me fix that. Ever, Every other person in the San Francisco Bay Area was working on a food truck app. That might be true in Los Angeles as well. I'm not sure, but definitely in the Bay Area, the food truck scene was coming on strong 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Still going. Rather than engaging with the mobile vendors themselves, the people that were writing these apps or having them built, would scrape Twitter feeds and place food trucks on a map, and voila. Except that they were not always accurate, which would misinform, even disinform food truck fans, and leading to customer relations issues for food truck owners who never asked for that. True stories. I spoke to many of them. I have mentioned this before. I was one of the co-founding and then managing director or whatever of the Bay Area Mobile Food Vendors Association. I talked to a huge fraction of the food truck owners in the Bay Area. They all had the same stories. I said, hey, we should solve these problems by working together. And then I had a house fire. So that's a story I've told. The more serious players like Roaming Hunger, you may have heard of Roaming Hunger, and there are some others. They had a real business model, which was and is to have food truck fans book events, small parties, office lunches, general catering events through Roaming Hunger so that they could take their commissions. So get between the customer and the business and extract some value. Here in Vegas, an truly awful platform called WTF, Where's the Food Truck? Took a similar tack, the common approach being, how can we extract value from the work of others without actually offering much in return? I've never met anyone who actually likes the Where's the Food Truck app or website or anything that they do, but as you might be sensing, I do not appreciate this approach. But there are still some players in this space who are following this path, and small businesses on wheels are not always able to find better ways that are not reaching into all of their pockets all of the time. It honestly requires a group effort. Hey, an owners association should do those sorts of things. And it requires the time to spend on it, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. I always say if your restaurant, which is already a risky business, can break down on the freeway, that's a problem. It's a problem many people try to solve, and good for them. I totally enjoy the mobile vending class of business, whether it's food or otherwise. Consider this. If mobile vendors form a valuable part of the fabric of a community, town, city, even county small business economy, and they do if you do the numbers, why is your local chamber of commerce or local media, newspaper, or radio station, whatever, interested in providing or otherwise enabling resources that make the interface between mobile vendors, food and otherwise, and their fans and customers easier so that more people head out and patronize these small businesses? And I've said this before, the First Friday Foundation here in Las Vegas that runs First Friday, which is coincidentally on Fridays each month, usually the first one, they always, every month, say, and food trucks, or similar, and food vendors. And I have demonstrated this time and time again. If you take a photograph of the site where First Friday takes place, it is empty. It is dead. It's basically like warehouses without the warehouse. There are some other businesses there, but it's essentially zero people. But then you throw in some tents and booths and carts and food trucks, and the place is packed. Maybe not in the summer. We'll see. And food trucks. I always tell people, some people come for the music and stay for the food trucks. Sometimes it's the other way around. Everyone should be, you wouldn't say, and we have a band. You would say who the band is. So, okay, I'll get off that soapbox. Of course, asking mobile vendors what might work better would be a start. Like, hey, food trucks, should we just say, and food truck? And in fact, this could be the basis of a novel way of enabling and connecting mobile businesses, as long as the motivation is not revenue extraction, but rather marketplace elevation, which does have a longer tail and does end up providing revenue streams for people who do that. So you can elevate the marketplace and still make money. You just don't do it by reaching into people's pockets. You actually provide value. I know it's crazy. That's not what we're here for, though. More fun. We need to have more fun. More than fun. More fun is good. More than fun. That's what we're talking about. Saying it does not make it true, though. So we, and I mean anyone who wants to or claims to be a part of or even driving this push towards innovation hub status, really So we really need to stop drinking our own Kool-Aid, reading our own LinkedIn posts, and pretending that repeating, even chanting this message about Global Innovation Hub is going to make it true. Are we a global innovation hub today? Probably not. Is there innovation happening in the greater Vegas area? Sure. Though we do a pretty awful job of highlighting it. And no, LinkedIn doesn't really count. One of the many problems with LinkedIn is the people that see the mentions, the highlighted post about, hey, this happened. Those are not published for public consumption. If you're not visiting LinkedIn, you're not seeing that stuff. So these need to be sort of open media publications, press release, or, these should be visible to the masses, not to, oh, I happen to have these people following me or my page, whatever. Don't make these announcements to a cohort of people who are vertically and philosophically focused and aligned. Everybody should be able to see this stuff. So that's one of the problems with LinkedIn. As I've mentioned many times, local media, local content creators, and so-called influencers here in the greater Vegas area and the population in general is aligned with the fun economy, with very little mention of local innovation, local innovators, and the road into a future that is actually diversified. My typos are not glaring. It's usually like I typed actual instead of actually. That's merely my fingers not keeping up when I'm typing. Converting words to coherent action is not easy, or is not as easy as you might hope. The problem here is a social psychology issue, sometimes referred to as groupthink, where a group of people will assure each other that they got this. They may even prevent outlying ideas from entering the fray because disagreement is it's maybe troubling. What I am concerned we are ending up with, as is the nature of groupthink, is a group of people using motivated reasoning and confirmation bias and all the other good things. Availability heuristic is another one. Good things that turn potential discussion into reinforced bad ideas, or at least ideas that should be challenged. Hey, should we just make the entire economy of the Las Vegas area based on gambling and fun? 100 years ago, somebody might, and 120 years ago, 1905, I think, was the land auction that kicked off the Vegas city of Las Vegas, or the whatever it was. I guess it was the city of Las Vegas. Anyway, if somebody came along and said, but what if we have too much of an organized crime element here? Nah, let's not worry about that. So good ideas can still be challenged, and they should be, because that's how you make good ideas even better, but not here. What we end up with, to be honest, is the selection of individuals and startup possibilities that fit into a particular narrative with very little, if any, attention given to anything else. Now, it is not necessarily the role or nor the responsibility of a local government or other agencies to promote everyone uniformly. That can be a private media effort or similar. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but we could create a platform geared towards the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem, for example. Maybe I have talked about that before. I don't know. So it's not necessarily, I don't expect the city of Las Vegas to promote every entity uniformly and fairly. However, by skewing attention and support toward a few based on the groupthink ideology, we're going to be the next Silicon Valley. So let's only emphasize those. That's why you keep hearing about the same 10 startups all the time. So by skewing attention towards support of these, based on this groupthink ideology, this assurance that we're going to be this other thing, winners and losers are being chosen, and I think inappropriately at this point. And I would suggest that they are being chosen unwisely. So not only inappropriately, but unwisely. I think it's inappropriate for a government agency at the local level, to be sure, to choose the companies that could succeed by giving advantages. So in that case, I think something more of because who knows, if you choose the winners unwisely, anyone who's ever gambled, and I don't know if you know this, but gambling is a thing here in Vegas. You may put all of your numbers on 36, but 35 might come up, right? Betting strategies are something that people should actually think about here. I don't know that they do. Another thing that bothers me about Vegas is the status quo thinking. I've seen this frequently. I see it all over. Examples of innovation receiving substantial attention for being visible or tangible here in the greater Vegas area, but often these are leaning into a notion I have spoken of previously, the city as a showcase. So for example, now self-driving cars, they're a thing here in Vegas. Great. Thanks to the relaxation of autonomous vehicle testing during the FAA test site program from, I think it's about 10 years ago. So we now have the legislation, the regulation in place to enable self-driving vehicles. We have tourists here so they can experience the self-driving vehicles, even if they're not allowed where they come from, where they live. So they can come to Vegas, try, oh, how neat. Nobody's driving the car. Hey, wait a minute. Nobody's driving the car. So does that mean that the city of Las Vegas is where the innovation is happening or where you're getting to try out the new innovation? So these are lumped together. Hey, look at all this innovation going on somewhere else. Yeah, somewhere else. That's where the innovation is happening. And then they come to Vegas. I would say that nobody in Vegas invented the poker chip, but they certainly use them here. Gaming chips, I guess. Showing innovation, enabling the masses to experiencing it, to understand and interact with it, does not make a place a hub of innovation. It's a showcase, yes. A hub, not as much. Now, there is local innovation. I don't want to discount the people who are doing interesting things here. Why do they not get the same level of attention? That is a great question. I'm still waiting for an answer. To make matters slightly worse, there is no real focus on these innovations outside, say, self-driving vehicles, as I've been saying. So despite there being so much opportunity to lean into this across many product and service possibilities, some originating here in the Vegas area, Greater Vegas, somewhere right here in Southern Nevada, they lean so heavily into, is there pop technology, pop culture, pop technology? But they leave so much on the table that is unaddressed, unimplemented. I'm sorry, not unappreciated. It might be implemented, but nobody ever sees it. I may have talked about that specifically in a previous episode or two, the exposing local innovation to our visitors here. If we look at these entertainment or fun-oriented directories at the LVCVA, or so their Visit Las Vegas website, or the Downtown Vegas Alliance website, the Down to Play.Vegas, or even commercial sites like Vegas.com, we see a fire hose of fun without any real value add. They're just dumping, here's everything going on. Good luck. Las Vegas Weekly has a print edition. This is essentially the free paper. Many of us familiar with these from cities and places around the country. Where I grew up in Phoenix, it was the New Times. I'm sure that's in other cities as well, letting people know what sorts of shows, venues, events, openings, and closings, and all manner of such things are on deck for the coming week. I think in Phoenix it was published on Wednesdays. I don't know when Las Vegas Weekly publishes there, but it is print. You can actually get a copy of it, or you can use the website, or both. If we convert a free paper into a website, we dump that content on people and wish them the best. And that's the case with the Visit Las Vegas locals thing that just launched. And you're like, whoa, wait, this is actually less useful than some similar opportunities that are already available. Is it really innovative to do this? Or do we just keep seeing the same idea from a couple of decades ago over and over again? Down to Play does have their interactive map, and I would suggest that you go and try it every time. And I'm saying 2 or 3 times that I've had a look at it, I say, how is this useful? They've added a map that doesn't offer any sort of utility to the person using it. Oh, okay, yeah, there's a map, but this doesn't help me. So see how useful and innovative that is for this use case, and then come back and finish listening to this. 2 examples of the city government websites that are somewhat telling the differences between them. Henderson is more normal. And Henderson has its own economic diversity plans, and they have some tech. They actually have a battery manufacturing company down there, which is called Lionate, I think it is. Lithium ion, play on that word. Google and Amazon have a presence there, mostly for fulfillment or some server facilities, so some data centers. But Henderson is more normal. If you visit their website, their site appears to, at first glance, to be aimed at people who live in or near Henderson. The Las Vegas website, though, does have those things, but it starts immediately describing the greater Vegas area, essentially Clark County, as though it is all Las Vegas. My favorite being their visitor statistics. They claim 41.7 million people visit Las Vegas. That's an LVCVA statistic. It's the Vegas area. A lot of people visit the Strip. The Strip is not part of Las Vegas. That's a confusion that nobody wants to clarify, but that's the fact. So these are already a kind of hand wave pieces of detail. So it's for the region. The economic diversification link available on the homepage goes to a website, innovate.vegas, which hasn't been updated in a couple of years. It makes references to programs that are not really moving forward that I can tell. Yeah, there's no event. The last events listed, I think, were from 2022, 21, 22, somewhere in there. So they have nothing going on there. The Innovation Center, that is one of the features of that, they are mostly empty from what I can tell. The last time I was there, it was dark at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 0 people. That's not how innovation works. City governments are not the fast movers we might expect from a startup, so I'm not overly surprised that these are not keeping up with possibility. But in my opinion, they should stop trying to be something they are not. Maybe provide actual references to resources which are trying to be something they actually are. For example, show us these startups and small businesses, or point to the best places to find current and correct information about the startup scene. And no, don't point to Tech Alley. That is not a useful website for that. Think asset map, think deal room, but kept up to date and not managed by someone with conflict of interest. Startup envy. So yeah, show up these startups and small businesses. Point us to resources that provide this information and other useful tidbits if I'm considering moving here. And I've mentioned before, this was the idea with SRC, the Startup Resource Center, which we were trying to advocate for starting. And yipes, if you want to get no support from a place that thinks it's something it isn't, that was a great example. The Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance claims to have a directory of sorts for some resources. It's not great. Hey, we're coming to the end. Don't worry about it. We got one more section and we're in it. So what are some things we could do? We want more than fun. Nothing wrong with the fun economy. But if we're going to talk about having more diversification, something more than just the fun economy, that comes from action, not from just continuously posting repeatedly on LinkedIn. I may have said this before. People who are pursuing their entrepreneurial innovative agenda should be visible. This is not marketing per se, but in a place that fancies itself a global innovation hub, the people making that true someday should be visible and reachable. Instead, we are overwhelmed with the fun fire hose. There is no light to shine on the small players. The light is all shining on the sphere. Hype and LinkedIn posts about the startup scene are being the next Silicon Valley. These are great. But is there a there? I'm amazed that I read that correctly. I wrote it. I said, am I going to step on that? We can and should do better, and not with mediocre half efforts that are merely advertisement vehicles. Innovation is a real thing, not a label to slap on a WordPress website. So I believe that the innovation about our innovation hub, I prefer to think of it as an innovation destination. I've mentioned that many times, but some of the innovation could be happening here locally about the place. Innovate for Vegas Foundation. I always say this: entrepreneurs cannot wait, or should not wait, but they cannot wait for others to solve their problems. This is mostly true, except perhaps where legislation and regulation are needed. The Hollywood 2.0 problem, which will not be addressed this year, maybe 2 more years. But generally speaking, that's from tax and other incentives to bring studios here. I'm not a fan, but that's another topic. We should be building our own foundational components to enable and elevate the entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem. Why is this not happening? Well, it's sort of happening, but very slowly. That's a great question, though. I have theories, but I will throw this out there. A lot of people who believe in the Innovation Hub mantra have looked at Silicon Valley post-2008, maybe even post-2012. So there is no real sense of how to build the parts on top of an emergent culture and resource available, and the emergent resources available in Silicon Valley for decades prior. I've talked about this before in episode 85, if you want to go check that out. The history of Silicon Valley really gets started in the middle of the 1800s, the gold rush, 1849, if you're not keeping up with the names of football teams or history. So if you think Silicon Valley started in 2008, you're missing out on like 150 years of truth, of work and cultural development and emergent interests and skill sets and educational focus and achievement, and the list goes on and on. So if you're looking even post 2012, even worse. 2012? Come on, you got to go back to 1912. So there is no real sense of how to, not how how to build the parts on top of the emerging culture and resources available, as I was saying. So we just say, oh, it just is. You just sprinkle some money on it, or you keep posting to LinkedIn and it just becomes true. We just want to be the next Silicon Valley. We don't want to have to take the time or put in the effort. Just spend the money, post on LinkedIn. Everything's good. Hey, that's a notification from Amazon. Thank you, Amazon device. Can we simply oh, sorry, I totally skipped over one sentence. It's the same for other places which have evolved particular economic and cultural strengths, where biomedical, military, aerospace, and hundreds of, or thousands even of other verticals, variations on verticals and so on, have grown to become powerful elements of different local and regional economies. Can we simply post on LinkedIn every day and make the greater Vegas area the next Mayo Clinic? Can we make it the next Hollywood? No, you have to actually do work. You have to build biomedical research centers. You have to establish an educational curriculum and a student body that wants to pursue those things. And then, of course, research professionals, PhD and even more brilliant than that. And, we can talk about our federal government undercutting that if you want someday. But today we'll just say, can you just be another place? No, you have to actually develop that. Part of that development means focusing on it and making sure the people in general, the people that live in a place, understand, appreciate, focus on it a little bit, talk about it, become interested in it. But I guess we're going to find out if we can become the next Mayo Clinic. I didn't really have a good word for like biomedical research hub. I guess that would be it. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, we'll see. I guess we're going to find out. In the meantime, the entrepreneurs need to stop with the hype and do their thing. That's the actual entrepreneurialism, and that's where I am. It'd be cool to have people that wanted to collaborate, but everybody here is a solipsist. So more is better to reach our final bullet item. More accelerators, more incubators, more gatherings, more resources, more participation, more awareness, more ideas, more failures. And we need to be talking about those failures more. And the list goes on. If this is a global innovation hub, or let us be more realistic, if this is a viable place for people to pursue their entrepreneurial, innovative aspirations, we should not pretend there is already success while we pay all the attention to the fun economy. We can and should do better. And it very clearly depends on the people doing it to make this work. Here's the little secret you get for listening to the end. The people doing it is us.